As someone who has never owned any other Sony home console besides the PlayStation 2, hearing Sony's announcement that physical disc production will be ending in January 2028 felt like news that really wasn't going to be affecting me directly. At heart, I am what you would consider a retro Nintendo collector. Things like the Nintendo 3DS, as surprising as it is, the Nintendo Wii, or even the GameCube, those are all my bread and butter. But as I was doing some scrolling on the good old Reddit, it seemed like this issue was going to be affecting a lot more people than I really thought. People that Sony would consider their 15% of physical buyers. So it kind of got me thinking that I've never really owned anything newer than Sony's 7th generation. Surprisingly, before I had my 3DS and my Wii, my parents actually got me and my brother a PSP 2000. This thing is a lot heavier than I remember, and there's proof that it was actually mine right there. And then growing up a little bit later after my 3DS, I was an Xbox boy in my teenage years, and so I never really owned any other Sony console for that matter. But that all changes with the newest addition that I've made to my collection, because I got myself my very first PlayStation 4 in 2026. Now, you might be having a few questions already considering this PlayStation 4 in general. Why did I buy a PS4 and not a PS5 or a PS3? Why didn't I get a Pro model PS4 if that's the case? And probably the biggest one of all, why am I doing this in the big 2026? Now, allow me to answer all of these questions whilst we unbox this beauty. This is the Japanese exclusive Dragon Quest Erdrick PlayStation 4. If I was going to get a PS4 for the collection, there was absolutely no way that I was going to go for, you know, the regular matte black console, because you gotta go big sometimes, man. Now, more questions might arise, such as, why did I get a Japanese PS4 of all things? And I'm going to be totally 100% transparent with you. Although this video in particular is not directly sponsored by them, I do have a sponsorship with a Japanese proxy site known as JP Fans, which in turn allows me to get some really cool Japanese exclusive items that were never sold over here in the States. So with my love for collecting a lot of like special edition gaming items and, you know, my love to just show off things on camera and make videos for them, it's kind of a win-win situation for me as well, I guess the viewers, if you enjoy seeing cool stuff like this. Just wait till you see this thing. Opening up this box, you can tell that it's actually a mimic. Holy crap. This is a really cool design choice. You know, it's supposed to mimic a chest, but it's a mimic. And, you know, these are the ones in the game that attack you. Do we still get this level of detail in things nowadays with gaming? Probably not. Let's get on to the actual PS4 itself. Boom, there it is, baby. Now, although I know that this PS4 model isn't the most powerful since it's only the Slim edition, meaning that it can only output 1080p, a home console with this beautiful of a color, with the Erdrick seal on the top, as well as this cool little liquid metal slime topper or front piece that you slide right here into the front USB port, I felt like being able to get my hands on this console was a bit of a no-brainer for me. Now, getting used to this controller as someone who played Xbox growing up is a bit of a challenge, but you know, things take time. Now, most importantly, why did I decide to get a PS4 of all consoles in the big 2026? Going into this as a fresh space, I suppose, to Sony's ecosystem of hardware, it required me to do a little bit more research than I actually intended to. Because before this, I didn't know that PS3s, PS4s, and PS5s are pretty much all region free when it comes to games, but when it comes to the more media side of things and, you know, playing a Blu-ray, this is where the region of the console depends, because if you're in region A, I want to say, then you have the Japanese and American Blu-rays that you can play, and then I didn't really worry about learning the other ones, but I'm pretty sure it's the PAL region and then some other Asian countries. The fact that the PS4 and majority of other Sony consoles are just really good media players was another big reason that I chose, you know, to actually get a PS4 in 2026. Because maybe if I'm actually able to find Mob Psycho 100 on Blu-ray in person, I can finally watch it on this thing. But besides this console just being super beautiful to look at and also being a really great Blu-ray player, let's get down to the core as to why I feel like this was such a great pickup despite all of Sony's recent announcements and them pulling back on a lot of their values. It's the video games, man. Now, whenever I go video game hunting, I'm telling you, there's like a 90% chance that there's always going to be a PS4 game no matter where I go. Retro video game stores are of course going to have them, pawn shops are always going to have them, and probably the cheapest place you'll ever be able to find them is the thrift store. And looking back at it, all these times that I've gone to like thrift stores and stuff, I'm pretty sure I've passed up on some pretty great experiences considering how cheap some of these games are. I mean, it's like $5 at most sometimes for a PS4 game. That could probably become one of my favorite series. You never know. A few deals I've been really keeping my eye out on are actually from a place that not too many people are fond of. This place has become a pretty big meme just in terms of how their system is ran. The employees alone kind of have this really bad stereotype to them, but it is the one place where I've seen on multiple occasions have some really great deals for games, especially if you know how to play their system. So let's go to GameStop. GameStop is always having these really great deals on their used games, and I've seen where people like to play the system in a way where they go and buy these games and then they just sell them online, which that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for the 4 for $40 deal, which seems insane if you're able to see some of these games on the shelf. Mind you, there's always a chance that you can just find these games in other platforms and stuff, but I mean, this is probably like one of the cheapest ways to buy a lot of physical media in bulk. As long as each game that you buy is under $20, I still think getting most of these half off is, really good value. Now let's look at the games that we decided to pick up during this 4 for $40 sale. First up, we have Pocky and Rocky Reshrined, as I've always seen this game on the Switch and have always wanted to play the SNES version, but I think the price for this game used kind of felt like it would be a little bit of a loss if I didn't end up liking it totally. I think it goes used for like 20 to 30 bucks, so I mean, getting this for 10, pretty good to me. Next up is Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, I actually got to play the original Spider-Man for the PS4 over at my in-laws' house whenever I would go visit every couple months to go see my honey. And it always felt like a treat because, once again, I never really had a PS4 or a PS3. And so Spider-Man games weren't really, at my leisure. But I played the first one, I really enjoyed it, and when I heard that this one was coming out, I was kind of sad that I didn't have a PS4. But besides that, for my honey, she's actually been wanting to get into the Kingdom Hearts series, and whilst I have had my fun with Kingdom Hearts Final Mix on the PC, I feel like this was a pretty good deal considering there are like 6 Kingdom Hearts games in here for 10 bucks. Insane. And the last game we picked up in order to take advantage of this 4 for $40, she decided to get this Dead Cells Return to Castlevania. She's always been a pretty big Castlevania lover, and overall she just really liked the art style for this, so there really wasn't any other games that kind of hit the threshold for us, so this was, our last little pickup. Now, I'm pretty excited to say that I finally actually own a PS4 for myself, as, growing up, it was all Xbox, it was all Nintendo, so this is very different for me. I've been really enjoying taking the time out of my day now to play some games and, just relax, because I just have always been in this like grind mindset for making videos. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that I need to take time for myself. If you have any suggestions for any games I should check out or stay away from, I would love to know, as I know that Sony has some really great exclusives when it comes to their consoles, and I'm really looking forward to trying out more games, honestly. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you liked it. If not, hey, I appreciate you for watching to the end. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.